Hey guys, and welcome to another podcast. All right, so new week, new day. This is the day after 4th of July. Tomorrow, I'm leaving to go see Guns N' Roses play in Cincinnati. I'm super psyched about that. But I'm still gonna have a blog up for you guys on Thursday, and I'm still gonna have a podcast up this week too. So today we are gonna be discussing rest times. Now, I want to talk about my story with rest times for a second here before we get into this. So, my story with rest times is I've trained for about 5 years now in powerlifting and about 8 years in bodybuilding. So, at the beginning of my journey, it was all about circuit training. I was a circuit trainer maniac. I loved everything had to be in a circuit style. I didn't know what straight sets were. My rest times, I didn't believe in resting over a minute, if that even. And those workouts got me lean, okay? And you can look back at my older videos from my older channels and look how lean I was then. But there was one thing that always was there, and that was my weakness of just being generally weak, not being strong. Not like I looked. If you looked at pictures of me, I looked like I could lift a lot, but I was super weak. And later on, once I started doing powerlifting, I kept with my short rest times. And I did that for the first full year of powerlifting. I kept my rest times short. And I can tell you what, it allowed me to make barely any progress at all. When I first started my first year, I barely got my squat over 170 pounds. My deadlift, I could not get up to 300 pounds. And my bench, I could not bench 135 yet. That's how bad it was. That's how bad my weakness was. And I always trained in like a circuit type of style. Or when I did powerlifting, I started doing straight sets, but I had my rest times so short that I was still breathing hard because I thought I had to have my heart racing throughout a whole workout to facilitate, whatever my goals were. I thought that was just required. I thought when you worked out, your heart rate had to be high. And anybody who trained with me back then knows that I used to love having my heart rate be high all the time. Then I heard one time Lane Norton say something in one of his video logs, and he said these simple words that changed my life. When you're in the gym, are you training for fat loss or for strength? And also, actually, wait, no, I messed that up. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. He said that when you're in the gym, you should have everything geared for making that workout as beneficial as possible. So, whether it be whatever it takes to lift the most weight, to rep out the best reps, whatever it takes. And one of those things that I took from that is rest times. If you rest long enough between sets, you're going to be able to give more all-out effort to each ongoing set thereon afterwards. So for me, in my earlier days of powerlifting, I was a total person who hated rest times. And let me give you an example of how bad I used to be. So on squats, for example, I would not rest more than a minute and 30 seconds. 90 seconds. That would be on a 5x5 day. Okay? I was doing a 5x5 and dying trying to get my sets in with about 90 seconds rest. Deadlifts were about the same, and bench was about a minute rest only. I made absolutely pretty much zero gains of that. Now, my anaerobic threshold was pushed because my heart rate was always up. But strength gains do not have to do with an anaerobic threshold to a degree. To get stronger, you have to rest. You have to rest in between your sets and get yourself ready for the next set. So, my recommendation to you guys is for rest times on the big compound movements, rest as long as you need. Now, let me give you an example of what I do nowadays. Squats, I rest anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes. Bench, I rest anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. And on deadlifts, if I can ever deadlift again, that is, I rested about 3 to 6 minutes as well. And then for my hypertrophy stuff, I usually rest about like a minute 90 seconds, just because the weight's lighter and stuff. And blood flow restriction, I keep rest times 15 to 30 seconds. So that's personally how I suggest people do rest periods. Rest as long as you need. Recent studies have actually shown that resting has really no effect on a workout in a negative way. If you can push more weight during a set because you rested for an extra minute, your overall volume is going to be higher. And what do we always talk about? Volume is the highest thing, the most important thing to think about when trying to gain muscle and gain strength. Your volume, that's reps times sets times the weight lifted, equals your overall volume for that training session. And if you can have more volume over time and progress it, appropriately over time, that will equal more gains. So if more rest times will allow you to be able to hit your strict 5x5 with 20 more pounds than if you would have or 50 more pounds than if you would have taken 2-minute rest, then take those extra minutes of rest, because for the extra volume, it's going to get it up there. Now, people always say, well, what if I only have like an hour to train? If you only have an hour to train, maybe you might have to, have a stopwatch and keep your rest times to a minimum, like a 3 minutes. But I wouldn't cut below 3 minutes. Many studies have shown that your strength will come back almost fully after 3 minutes. 3 minutes of rest is shown to be like that. Now, everybody varies, obviously, but 3 minutes, after the 3-minute mark, your muscles really start to be pretty much ready for another set, so to speak. Or, some people it's going to be longer, but around that mark, So try 3 minutes, try putting it on a stopwatch. Also, another thing for people that struggle with getting workouts in on time, for people that are really on a strict schedule, and you have strength goals, sometimes, strength powerlifting workouts take a lot longer than bodybuilding workouts because you're lifting a lot heavier. People who say they can do 85% or 80% for a 5x5 in 5 minutes, they're crazy. That ain't going to happen. And you're lying to yourself if you think you can do that. That's just insane. So what I recommend for people that are on a strict time limit but still want to get stronger over time is something that's called working up to a conservative max and backing off about hitting to a certain percentage and hitting like sets of 5 to 8 out of that. So for an example, on squats, let's say you have a squat day and you're have not a lot of time to train. My recommendation is to work up to a 1 rep conservative max, a weight that you probably have 1 or 2 reps left in the tank. So I'll give you an example. My max squat, or it was before my injury, was 250 pounds. And my conservative max from that would probably be like 235, 240. So that would be a weight that I'd probably have 1 or 2 reps left in the tank with. So work up to that, hit that, and then back off to like 80. Yeah, let's say 80%. So pull out your calculator, then times that by 80%. And that'll give you your weight that you'll work with and hit sets of or just like more sets of 5. You could just do sets of 5 and just do as many sets as you can in the time that it allows you to train. So if you only have 30 minutes on squats, work up to that conservative max, back off to 80% of what you worked up to, and then hit sets of 5 for the remaining of the time you have left. So maybe you'll be able to get in 6 sets after that after that main set, or maybe 5 or 6 sets around that there, and then that would be your squats for the day. So that's a good way to kind of use if you only have a little bit of time to train, to get in a good amount of volume. Because if you have plenty of time to train, I recommend taking as long as you need to get the main workload in, as that's going to facilitate the most growth and strength gains over the most in your period of time of training. So that's it, guys. Pretty much to sum this up is rest times are super beneficial. Don't fall into the traps I fell into early on in my training career of just thinking everything had to be a circuit training session, everything had to be like a CrossFit style workout. It doesn't at all. You won't. I had this weird fear of putting on fat if I rested long, And that just doesn't happen, guys. It allows you to train harder. It allows you to get stronger. And if you're training harder and you're getting stronger, guess what? You're going to get bigger too. I promise you that. So that's it, guys. Have a good week. I might get another podcast by this weekend. If not, we will talk to you next week. Give this podcast a like. Check out SeanFawzy.com for the weekly blog every week on Thursday. And we'll see you guys next time.